Let's do it then, shall we?
Hey everybody, BK Adams here. Today I want to talk about the Mighty Protector's vehicle movement and combat system. So first up is this map that I've made of a city, and every hex is equal to 21 game inches or 105 feet. And I want to show you how I got to that. So in section 411 of the Mighty Protector's rules, it talks about vehicle combat scale. It says vehicle battles are best played out on a hex grid at a scale equal to the slowest first turn of acceleration possessed by any of the vehicles involved, divided by its turn rate. I brought up both of the vehicles that are in this video. The first vehicle is the hero's vehicle called the Interceptor. It has speed of 128/512. So its slowest acceleration is 128 and has a turn rate of 4. So you divide 128 by 4 and you get 32. Now the bank robber's vehicle is this small truck, and its slowest acceleration is 64 and it has a turn rate of 3. So 64 divided by 3 is 21 and a fraction, which you lower to 21 inches. Next up, I want to talk about speed, which is the ability that both vehicles are using to move their vehicles. Characters with speed may travel up to the acceleration rate when they first start moving. They may multiply their current rate of travel by up to 2 each turn until they reach their top speed. Pushing speed enables the character to multiply their current rate by up to 4 and doubles their top speed. They may likewise decelerate to half the current speed turn after turn, slowing to a stop in one turn once their current speed is equal to their acceleration or less. Now what this doesn't say, and it's going to be in the errata fairly soon I think, is that you can also push your deceleration. So you can spend 2 power and decelerate by 4. Next up, I want to talk about section 447, vehicle movement. It says moving a vehicle takes its driver or pilot's entire movement phase. Robotically piloted vehicles move on their own movement phase. Vehicles move at the current speed of or flight system rate in a number of straight line segments equal to their turning rate. A vehicle may make one 60-degree turn or 2 60-degree turns if the vehicle is traveling at its slowest movement rate during each segment. Round to the nearest whole number when calculating the distance a vehicle moves during a segment, rounding up on 0.5. A vehicle may still turn during a segment even if its movement has been rounded to 0. Next, I want to talk about vehicle defense. The rules say a vehicle has a defense equal to its pilot or driver's AG save minus 10, plus any bonuses they may have from their career background, plus the vehicle's handling modifier. Robotically controlled vehicles have a defense equal to their AG save minus 10 and ignore the handling modifier. So looking at the hero sheet, it says a vehicle has a defense equal to its pilot or driver's AG save minus 10 plus any bonuses from the career background. Well, he has an agility save of 12 or less, so 12 or less minus 10 is a 2. He also has a background as a police patrolman at plus 3. So a patrolman is someone who's good at driving a vehicle, so he gets that bonus. So his defense is up to a 5. He also has a knowledge of driving tasks at plus 3. That also gets to be added to his defense, so now he has an 8 defense. And then lastly, it says you also get the vehicle's handling modifier. So he's currently at 8. If we look at his vehicle, it has a handling modifier of 2. Has a 2. So while he's driving, while the highwayman is driving his Interceptor, he has a 10 defense. Now his vehicle also has a robot brain, and the robot brain is not nearly as good at driving the vehicle as the highwayman is, and so it only has a 2 defense. The bank robbers, the guy driving the truck, has a background in driving, so he gets plus 3 for that, and his agility save, all the bank robbers' agility save, is an 11 or less. And if we look at the truck, it has a handling modifier of 0. So the bank robber in his truck, or the truck rather, has a defense of 4. The last rule thing I want to talk about at this point is section 4731 profile. It reads, the profiles of an attacker and their target, for example a vehicle or a character with size changed larger, can affect the to hit penalty from range. Multiply the actual range by the attacker's profile, then divide it by the target's profile and use the difficulty modifier for the adjusted range. And then I guess also in this next section, vehicle range difficulty, it says remember to multiply the range between vehicles by the scale of the grid. What that means is when each of these hexes is 21 inches, so it's a much larger scale. But then again, the vehicles are much larger. Now the hero's vehicle, it has a profile of times 5.7. The truck that the bank robbers are driving has a profile of times 6.8. So lastly, I want to show you my personal Mighty Protectors combat record sheet. This sheet that I designed a long time ago will automatically roll initiative. And what I've got it doing is, so I've got our hero, the highwayman, I've got his robot brain, Mo, who can also operate the vehicle. And then I have our 4 bank robbers. I have Nick, the truck driver, who has a background in driving. There's Jason, Billy, and Hugh. They're in the back of the truck. All these bank robbers have submachine guns that they're armed with, but Nick can't use it because he's driving and the submachine gun requires 2 hands. So just for convenience sake, I've got all the bank robbers going on the same initiative. It was randomly rolled by the sheet, so we'll just go by this. And first up is our hero at phase 7. So our hero's vehicle is this red vehicle, and he is currently traveling at 256 inches per round, which is 3 hexes per increment. And because his vehicle, this vehicle has a turn rate of 4, that is 4 increments. So the first increment, he's just going straight. He goes 1, 2, 3. His second increment is another 3. 1, 2, 3. His third increment, 1, 2, 3. And his fourth increment, 1, 2, 3. So that's him. The bank robber is driving this. Now these guys know they're being followed, and the guys in the back can probably see him up on this bridge, coming across the bridge, but they're way too far away. Their guns can't reach that far. So the Nick, the bank robber who's driving the truck, he's driving also at 256 inches per round, but for him that's 4 hexes per increment, because his truck has a turn rate of 3, and the turn rate equals how many increments you get to move and also turn. So his first increment, he gets to go 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Second increment, 1, 2, 3, 4. The third increment, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the other thing is, I am not bothering with traffic in this tutorial video, and I'm not bothering with traffic lights. Now you could certainly do that, it would be more realistic, but it would just make the video that much longer. And this is really about teaching you how the movement and combat systems work. But of course you could do, you could certainly do that in your own campaign. So that is round 1, and now it's on to round 2. So everybody else besides the 2 drivers of the vehicles are holding their action. So I'll go ahead and I will fill in gray to indicate the guys who have done something, and then everyone else I will highlight with yellow to indicate that they're holding their action. So looking here, the 2 drivers, our hero has a 5, and the bank robber Nick, who's driving the truck, has a 4. Everybody else is delaying. So a 5 beats a 4, so our hero goes first. Now he's coming up on a turn. He is driving at 128, and he is going to have to decelerate in order to make that turn. Now if he gets his free half movement or half deceleration, he would drop to 128 and still be going 2 hexes per increment. But this is a pretty tight turn, So I think he's going to have to drop down even lower than that to 64. So that's what he does. He drops to 1 hex per increment, and he has 4 increments. So the first increment is here, second increment is here. So now he can make 2 turns, and so that's what he does. That was the second increment. Third increment is here, fourth increment is here. Again, he makes 2 turns. Now these aren't full 60-degree turns, but it's more than a single 60-degree turn. It's closer to 90 degrees. So he's done. So our bank robber is still traveling at, he's on a straight road. He's still traveling at 256, which is his maximum velocity for his vehicle. So he goes 4 hexes per increment. He's got 3 increments. So first increment 1, 2, 3, 4. Second increment 1, 2, 3, 4, and the third increment 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's round 2. Go ahead and highlight the guys who've gone with gray to indicate they've used their action and their movement. Now again, when you're driving, in this section 447 it says moving a vehicle takes its driver or pilot's entire movement phase. It doesn't take an action, it takes their entire movement phase. So, you know, if the hero were close enough, he could actually, you know, fire on the truck, but he's nowhere close enough yet to fire. So we're now on round 3. I'll go ahead and say these guys are still delaying, so they're in yellow. So again, our hero, the highwayman, has got a 7, and Nick, the truck driver, bank robber, has got a 1. So the highwayman is going to go first. So this is his movement. He's still traveling at a very low acceleration because he's making some very tight turns. So he's going 1 hex per increment. So here's his first increment. That's a 1. Second increment, that's a 2. Third increment, now here he's turning again. He's making 2 60-degree turns, or up to 2 60-degree turns. That was his third increment, and here's his fourth increment. And I guess he could, at the very edge of this, it starts to straighten out, so he can make a slight correction, and he's almost going straight, or close enough anyway. So on his next turn, he'll be able to really accelerate, and he'll need that to catch up to the bank robbers. So they're still traveling at 4 hexes per increment. They get 3 increments. So here's the first one, 1, 2, 3, 4. Second increment, 1, 2, 3, 4. Third increment, 1, 2, 3, 4. So they're traveling at about 87 miles an hour. They're trying to get away from this superhero or whatever he is in this car that's chasing them. If we look at our sheet, so that's round 3. These guys are still, you know, they're still delaying, and the other guys are they've done their movement and now their action. So now it's round 4. We look at our phases. The hero's got a 4, the truck driver's got a 2, so our hero goes first. So now our hero is finally basically going straight. There's a slight curve in there, but that's close enough to straight where it doesn't matter. So he's going 64. Normally he could go to 128 for free, but he wants to push his acceleration and go to 256. So that's what he's going to do. That's going to take 2 power. Now, before I go on, I should have mentioned this in the beginning, but when you turn a vehicle on, you have to pay the power cost for everything. So there's a minor power systems cost that all vehicles have, which is 1 per hour. So it's got that. The hero's vehicle also has his speed power cost, which is 1 per hour. There's a heightened expertise power that he wants on. That's another 1 per hour. There's his robot brain, which costs 1 per hour. And lastly, his communications ability, or system rather, which costs 1 per hour. So you add those all up, you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So his vehicle drops from 85 power to 80 power, and now he's pushing his acceleration, which costs 2 power, and so he drops to 78. So our hero is here. He's moving at 3 hexes per increment. He's got 4 increments. So here's the first increment, 1, 2, 3. He can make a slight turn. It's not 60 degrees. His second increment, 1, 2, 3, another slight course correction. Third increment, 1, 2, 3, and fourth increment, 1, 2, 3. So he's here. Now our bad guys go. So he's going 4 hexes per increment. So 1, 2, 3, 4. First increment, 1, 2, 3, 4. Second increment, 1, 2, 3, 4. Third increment. So now that phase is over. So now it's round 5. We look at our hero's initiative. He's got a 3. The Nick, the bank robber who's driving the truck, has a 2. So our hero goes first. So now he's got to figure out, he's pretty far away. So our hero is really far away from these guys, and he wants to catch up to him. So he's going to double his acceleration. So now he's doing 512 inches per round, which is, I believe, 174 miles an hour. He's doing 6 hexes per increment. He's got 4 increments. So here's the first increment. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me scroll over a little bit. Here's his second increment. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here's his third increment. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And his fourth increment. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he's catching up to these guys, but now they get to go. So they're going to cross over the interstate over this bridge. They're still doing 256 at 4 hexes per increment. So their first increment is 1, 2, 3, 4. Second increment, 1, 2, 3, 4. Third increment, 1, 2, 3, 4. So they're getting out of the downtown area, more into this area with houses. So that was round 5. Now it's round 6. Our hero's got a 4 for initiative, and the bank robber driver has a 1 for initiative. So our hero goes first. He's going to keep going his current velocity, which is 6 hexes per increment. He's got 4 increments. So his first increment, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Second increment, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Third increment, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And his fourth increment, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he's catching up to these guys pretty fast. Now they get to go. They see the guy coming up on them really fast, and the driver now probably wants to slow down and take this turn up here. So that's what he's going to do. He's going to decelerate. Let's look at his velocity. So in order to make that turn, so for free he can go to 128, but that's let's see, can he make 2 hexes? 1, 2. Yeah, he can actually make that turn. So he slows down. He goes 1, 2. Actually, no, he can't do that because he's not at his slowest acceleration. So he needs 2 turns. So he has to slow down to 64, which is his minimum acceleration. So now he's doing 1 hex per increment. So there's the first hex, there's the second hex. He can make 2 60-degree turns, and here's his third increment. So that round is over. So now it's round 7. Our hero has a 4, and the truck driver has a 4. So they're tied. So when you're tied, you go to whoever has the highest agility. Our hero, I believe, has a pretty good agility. Let's see, he's got an 18 agility. Yeah, that's and the bank robbers, they've all got a 12 agility. So our hero goes first. Now he is currently driving really fast. He's driving 174 miles an hour. He's got to really slow down in order to make that turn. So for free he can go to 256, but that's not going to be enough. He's got to slow down to 128. I believe he can make it. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's close enough, I guess. So because his car is so much better than these bank robbers' truck, that's what he's going to do. Now that he just divided his acceleration by 4. So in order to do that, he has got to, again, he's got to push his deceleration. So that's going to cost 2 power. The vehicle drops from 78 to 76 power. Okay, so now he's doing 2 hexes per increment. So his first increment, he goes 1, 2. And actually, he's going to use his first turn here. Now, he can make 2 60-degree turns because 128 is his lowest acceleration. So that's his first increment. 1, well, let's see. I take it back. He doesn't want to do that. He can't quite make it. So that's his first increment. 1, 2. Second increment, 1, 2. Third increment, 1, 2. And the last increment, 1, 2. And he turned. Well, I didn't mean to do that. Let's see. I just picked up the whole map. Let's see. So that's his last increment, and he can turn. So now he is right behind these guys. That was just his movement. That was the hero's movement phase. He can still use an action. So that's what he's going to do. So earlier I had figured out the defense of these guys. So the highwayman, while he's driving, which he's still driving, has a defense of 10. And the truck driver, the truck rather, has a defense of 4. So if we look at the hero's sheet, that's not it. We look at the hero's sheet. He essentially has a 19 or less to hit, but his vehicle also has heightened expertise built into it. It's like a targeting system, right? So he gets another +3 for that. So he becomes a 22 or less to hit. So let's figure out if he has any range penalties. He's right there. Now the truck has a profile of 6.8. So each of these hexes is 21 inches. And as I said earlier, you have to adjust to the regular range to figure out range penalties. So 21 divided by 6.8 is 3 and a fraction. So he's going to have no range penalty. His vehicle has a laser system. So he's at 22, but the truck has a 4 defense. So he's got an 18 or less chance to hit it. So he's actually going to take 2 shots at the truck. Odds are, unless he rolls extremely high, he is not going to reduce it to 0, which would make it explode. He's just trying to knock it out. And vehicles like characters are knocked out if they take more than half their hit points in a single attack. So he's 22, minus 4 is 18. There's no range penalty. He's going to do a double attack, which further reduces his chance to hit by 3. So he goes to a 15 or less. So he's got a 15 or less roll for 2 rolls. So here's his action, a 17. He actually misses with his first shot. And his second shot is going to hit. Now his laser does 2 die 10 energy damage. And I roll a 14. So if we look at the bank robber's truck, it just took 14 energy damage. It has 4 energy protection, so it takes 10 hit points. So it normally has 31, it drops to 21, which is not more than half of its hit points, or less than half of its hit points. So it just had a laser burn through it, but it's still going. If we look at our record sheet, so that's our hero. He's gone on 4. All these guys in yellow have been delaying since round 1, and the person who's been delaying the longest gets to go first. Well, in this case, it's the robot brain Mo who's been waiting the longest because he had a 5 initiative and the other bank robbers had a 3. So he is going to go, and if we look at the hero's vehicle, there's the laser damage, 2 die 10, and by the way, that was 2 shots at 4 power each. So first shot drops it from 76 to 72 power, and the second shot drops it from 72 to 68 power. But the robot brain can also operate this vehicle, including firing the laser. So that's what it's going to do. Mo has a 12 or less agility save. When you add 3 to that, which all characters get for free for attacking things, it becomes a 15 or less. But he's also got this heightened expertise targeting system. So it becomes an 18 or less, he's just going to take a single shot. There's no range penalty, as already figured out. So he's got a 18 or less minus the truck's 4 defense. So he has to roll a 14 or less to hit. He rolls a 10. So he also hits the truck, and his damage is also 14. This may be enough to knock out the vehicle. So let's bring up the truck. So it just took 14 damage minus 4 energy protection becomes 10. It drops from 21 to 11. Again, that is not more than half. So it is still operating, and now it's getting dangerous because one more hit could take it to 0 and blow it up, which our hero doesn't really want to happen, but he might take that chance and then try and save the guys if that actually happens. So let's see. Now we've got the bank robbers, and they can go. These guys have been waiting. They have machine guns or submachine guns, which do a die 10 plus 1 with auto fire of 2 shots. And they have a 16 or less chance to hit. If we look at the hero's vehicle, it has a profile of 5.7. So if we bring back our calculator, they're 21 inches away. We divide 21 by 5.7, and we get 3.68, which is fractions. So that's less than 5, or less than 4. So they have no range penalty. But the highwayman is a really good driver with a souped-up car, and so he has a 10 defense. So they need a 6 minus 10. They need a 6 or less to hit. I'll go ahead and reset the sheet. But they get 6 shots because there's 3 of them in the back with their 2-handed machine guns. They knock out the windows, and they're firing out of the back of this thing, out of the back of the truck. So the first guy needs a 6 or less with his first shot. Here was a 14. He misses. Second shot, a 6. He hits. So their machine guns do a die 10 plus 1. He rolls 8 damage, which ordinarily would damage a normal vehicle fairly significantly. However, the Interceptor is a superheroic vehicle, or a super vehicle, and it's actually got invulnerability to sharp kinetic damage, which bullets fall under that category. And invulnerability, you divide the damage by 4 and round down. So it was 8 damage minus the 5 kinetic protection becomes 3. If you take 3, well, I'll just use the calculator again. You divide it by 4, you get 0.75. So actually, and you round down, so actually it took no damage from that. So I believe that was so that's the first bank robber. The second bank robber also rolls a 6, so he hits. He does 5 damage. That's not enough. It does nothing. His second attack is 18. That misses. The third bank robber rolls a 9 and misses, and a 17 and misses. So they've all done their action. They've been delaying all this time, and all of them miss. So we'll go on to the next round. So now we're on round 8. We look at our initiatives again, and the highest initiative is Mo, the robot brain. So, actually, you know what? I've got to go back in time because I didn't move our bank robbers. So he's going to accelerate. He's going 64. He's going to punch it up again. He can go to 128 for free by spending 2 power. He can go to 256. So that's what he does. I'll go ahead and deduct the power from his vehicle, which I never did the initial stuff. So let's see. It would have been 65. And he's now using 2 power, or no, he used 2 power earlier to brake. I brought it to 63. Now he's using 2 power again to accelerate. I believe that's right. So he's at 61 power. And he's now doing 4 hexes per increment. He's accelerating away. So first increment, 1, 2, 3, 4. Second increment, 1, 2, 3, 4. Third increment, 1, 2, 3, 4. So he's just accelerated to 87 miles an hour. He's trying to get away. So back to our combat sheet. So the robot brain goes first. He's just going to delay. So now it's the highwayman's action. He beats the bank robbers on with a 5 initiative, so he goes first. He's just going to accelerate a little bit, and catch up to these guys. So he matches their velocity. He does 3 hexes per increment, and so his first increment is 1, 2, 3. His second increment is 1, 2, 3. His third increment is 1, 2, 3. And his fourth increment is 1, 2, 3. So he's right back where he was before, right next to these guys. He's going to fire the laser again. It actually has can't hold back as a limitation. It doesn't work through water, and it can't hold back. So he's just going to take a risk that it might blow up the vehicle, but I guess he'll take that risk. So let's see, he had a 22 or less chance, which drops to an 18 or less chance because of the defense. So he'll just take a single shot. He rolls a 3, but I have to reset it to do the damage. For the laser, it's 2 die 10. Here's his roll. 18. Well, that's probably bad for the bank robbers. I think that's going to blow up their vehicle. So let me bring up the vehicle. It just took 18 damage, but it has 4 energy protection. So 18 becomes 14. And yeah, 14 drops it to, it only had 11 hit points left. It drops to 0 hit points. What it says is when a vehicle's central power system takes enough hit damage to become incapacitated, or the vehicle's overall hits are reduced below 0, an explosion occurs. So that's what happened. It actually went below 0. It was at 11 hit points. It took 14. So it actually went to -3 hit points, which is below 0. So now it's going to explode. The explosion is 4 die 8 plus 1 die 4, centered from the central power system, which is the engine. So from that point, it blows up. So let's see, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so it's gonna get all the bank robbers in this. They're all gonna take this damage. So let's see. So 4 die 8 plus 4 die 8 plus a die 4. So let's see. So the first guy, the driver, is gonna take 23 and 4. He takes 27 damage. If we look at the sheet, now they do have a bulletproof vest, but it's mainly meant to stop kinetic damage, not energy damage. So the driver just took 27 damage, and also this vest is partial coverage. It's light coverage. Now if we look at this section of the rules, 4753, Armor and Shields versus Area Effect, it reads, light armor coverage provides only 1/4 of its protection round up against area effects, while heavy armor coverage provides only 1/2 of its protection round up. So these guys have got, light armor coverage provides 1/4 protection. So he took 27, well, first off, his protection of 2 is divided by 4, rounded up. So that drops to 0.5, so it rounds to 1. So he does get 1 point of protection. He took 27 damage, -1 is 26. If we go back to the this sheet, so this was the driver. He just took 27 -1 is 26. He can roll with 4, dropping his power to 41. He takes 22 hit points, so he drops to 0, and that spills over another, let's see, 22 -9 is 13. 41 -13 is 28. So he's at 28 power and 0 hit points. He's completely knocked out and will die if he's not treated. So that's the driver of the vehicle. Now the vehicle also takes all that damage. It was already reduced to 0, so it doesn't really matter. So I believe with explosion, or with area effect attacks, you're supposed to roll per individual. So the next guy takes 24 plus 2, 26. That is completely going to knock him out and make him where he's going to be dying. Next guy takes 16 and 4 is 20. That still, I think, is more than enough to knock him out. Let's see, 20 -1 is 19, -4, 15. So this guy goes to 0, this guy goes to 0, and then the last guy, unless I roll super low, nah. So 27. So yeah, so they're all knocked out. The vehicle explodes. They're all going to die unless they're treated pretty quickly. And now as a cop, he might know some basic medical to patch them up or whatever. So combat is done. The truck blew up. And that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you learned a little bit more how the vehicle rules work and the Mighty Protectors system. And I'll catch you next time.